Hi, my name is Victoria Imiki, and this is my presentation on how has climate change affected Colorado. Today we will be discussing forcing agents, Colorado's climate change history, how was Colorado impacted, the improvements being made throughout Colorado, what will Colorado's future climate look like, and summarizing what we learned about. First, let's talk about what climate change is. The universal definition is when the climate has long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. Universal causes are mainly through human activity, such as burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, which creates entrapment of the sun's heat. Following up with climate change is the causes of why it occurs. Forcing agents are outside factors pushing climate change to happen. Some examples of forcing agents are variations in solar radiation levels, volcanic eruptions, and changing levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Climate change feedbacks are processes that can either amplify or reduce the effects of climate forcings. These feedbacks can either be positive or negative. Positive amplifying feedbacks are snow cover loss and glacier ice melting, which reduces the reflection of sunlight. Negative examples reducing are plants and soil absorbing carbon dioxide, as well as oceans doing the same. The history of Colorado's climate change dates back to the shift of the first ice age, BCE era. Since then, climate change has shifted back and forth. Two major events are the Great Drought and the first ice age. Colorado is home to many different glaciers and has encountered a number of climate events. The Placetonian glaciers developed roughly 3 million years ago. The formation of glaciers is linked to shifts in plate tectonic movements. We can find these glaciers throughout Colorado, but primarily in the higher mountain ranges of Colorado Springs and the Longs Peak Mountains. The Great Drought began in 1276 and lasted roughly 23 years. Examining through Colorado's history, the Great Drought significantly affected the southwest region, which we know today as the Mesa Verde, Colorado, also 35 miles west of Durango. Like many severe droughts, the lack of precipitation and high levels of reflected sunlight created what we have today is Mesa Verde, Colorado. The Great Drought is home to 24 Native American tribes, ancestral affiliations, and today the Mesa Verde is a national park, where cliff dwellings are still intact and protected by the park. The Mesa Verde went through population shifts due to increased drought and food scarcity. As you can see from the graph, Fort Collins is one of the closest cities to Loveland, and our temperatures have changed by 0.0125 degrees Celsius per year. This change isn't that much, and over a 100-year timescale, we have a 1.25 degrees Celsius positive increase. Colorado has many environmental issues to worry about. These being extreme drought and rising temperatures, which lead to an increase of wildfires, as well as a lack of snow during the months that we so desperately need them, which will in turn affect our natural water supply. We all know the severity of what wildfires can do to the environment: destruction of property, livelihoods, and human health. The smoke that comes along with the wildfire will affect the air quality of everyone's purpose of breathing and will increase our chances of ending up in the hospital due to chest pain, respiratory problems, and even heart problems. Studies have shown that climate change is causing forest on the western side of the United States to become drier and more flammable. Even earlier springs have caused fire seasons and droughts to increase in time durations with more resources available to burn. Secondly, we have a decrease in snowpack, which will also affect our water supply. Climate change has affected the snowfall since the 1950s, creating an earlier melting time and less snowfall. Scientists at the University of Colorado in Boulder have predicted that the snowpack in the southern part of the Rockies will drop by 50% this century. The snowpacks we get in Colorado account for 70% of our state's water supply. Because of climate change, the Colorado River has decreased by 20%. Regionally, Colorado is currently going through an extreme drought, along with many other states in the western region. This is also known as a 20-year megadrought. The warmer temperatures are triggering seasonal precipitation to occur as rainfall instead of snow. This is an important factor considering different regions of Colorado depend on the snowmelt for fresh water. Climate change has amplified the water supply, leading to less precipitation in arid regions and more severe precipitation, which increases in evaporation, which means that warmer temperatures will limit the water supply even if we get the same amount of rainfall. Next, we have a reduction in our snowfall. Because of the rising temperatures, we have primarily only seen rainfall as our source of precipitation. Colorado snowpacks are essentially just like a drip irrigation system. If the timing is too early for snow melt to occur, then the amount of runoff will decrease in saturating the ground, and finally the water supply will be limited for growing seasons. Colorado has many socioeconomic climate impacts. The two drivers we will focus on today are coal mining and agriculture. Coal mining in Colorado started in the late 1850s in Denver, Colorado. Coal mining lasted from 1858 to 2005. That's 147 years of emitting carbon dioxide and methane into the air, and yet we still live with this problem, with air pollution, through smog in congested cities like Denver. Today, even though the mass production of coal mining has subsided in Colorado, it appears we still have activity in the Moffat County, where 46% of the total property value in the county is generated by two major coal mines, the Callaway and Trapper mines, in the city of Westminster, which also has a coal-powered plant called the Tri-State Generation and Transmission, which supplies power to several different states. The agriculture industry in Colorado is estimated to be worth $41 billion. Therefore, the impact of climate change has on the food production industry is vital to everyone living here. Because Colorado is so inland, we depend on the amount of snowpack we get. In addition, Colorado's mitigation process is helpful because we are further away from oceans and the Great Lakes. Scientists have said that the need for water is going to increase, as our population census will also increase. This is an important issue if snowpacks continue to decrease due to increasing temperatures. Colorado is expected to have a temperature increase by 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius on a global average. This climate change may seem small, but agriculturally, it's a huge impact. Some ways Colorado mitigation is implemented is through policies and plans. Climate policy officials and leaders have teamed up with different natural solution influencers to mitigate the impacts. The Nature Conservancy has come up with the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Reduction Roadmap. Here in Colorado, it is led by Governor Polis administrations. The roadmap will chart a path to achieve Colorado's science-based carbon reduction goals. By moving efforts forward, officials have sat down with multiple businesses and partnered with Protect Our Winters, Sears, and several Colorado-owned businesses to establish a letter in support of the state's climate goals and roadmap. If Colorado is able to follow the roadmap guidelines, by 2025, we will cut back emissions by 26%, by 2030, 50%, and by 2050, 90%. A second mitigation strategy Colorado is implementing is through the Clean Power Plan. The Clean Power Plan puts guidelines in place for limiting the output of carbon dioxide emissions from existing power plants. Implementing this plan is helping Americans transition away from fossil fuels, protecting our health, preventing future generations from experiencing the worst effects of climate change, and making the United States a global climate leader. With climate change pushing temperatures to rise by 5 degrees, by 2050, our warmest summers from the past may become the average summers in our future. The recurring patterns of our water supply being altered due to climate change will come true if rising temperatures occur, which in turn affects our ecosystem. With a predicted lack of stream flow and humidity, Colorado is likely to see 50 to 60% decrease in snow by 2080, thanks to the drier conditions from climate change. Because this may happen in our future, we could potentially look like Arizona and New Mexico. Wrapping up this presentation, it is easy to see that Colorado has changed drastically. Over 300 million years ago, Colorado used to be home to numerous dinosaur species, and the climate was very green and lush, with tropical trees that were as tall as skyscrapers. Because of all the human activity that continues to go on today, climate change in Colorado will only worsen. As previously stated, Colorado will only get hotter and evolve into Arizona or New Mexico if more mitigation action does not take place. Our rivers, streams, and snowpacks will continue to dry out, which will put many households at risk agriculturally and as well as a consumer. Colorado relies on its water supply in so many ways. This has been my presentation. Thank you for watching. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.